2 game weeks in 1 week? Madness. Welcome to the FPL busy festive schedule. Hi guys, I'm Nymfria and welcome back to the home of FPL videos. Quick turnaround this week, so I'll take a quick look at how I got on in Game Week 13 before looking ahead to my team selection for both Game Week 14 and 15, so you guys get a bit of an idea of what I'm planning to do in the next couple of game weeks, as I'm really unsure I'll be able to squeeze in any more content before Game Week 15. So here we go. Sanchez, repaying my faith finally, 4 saves, a clean sheet and 1 bonus point. Thank you, good sir. I'm grateful for every single point this week because you'll see Saturday was as good as it could possibly be for me in FPL with 4 out of 4 returning, but it all went to pot on Sunday. So Sanchez, extremely grateful to have held on to you and got through last game week and finally having you back and scoring points in my team. As you'll see by my defence, Trent smashed it out of the park with a clean sheet and an assist for 9 points on Saturday, but with the rest of my defence, Sunday was a real letdown. City let in an agonising last-minute goal that meant nothing to anybody, meaning Cancelo went from hero with bonus points to practically 0 with just 1 point. Absolute killer. I had hoped to roll, but unfortunately James came in for Chilwell based on his long-term injury. I went with James rather than Alonso, A, because I wasn't 100% sure Alonso would start. He hadn't really had a lot of game time recently. He did start, but you know what, I kind of thought maybe go for James now initially, and if I fancy Alonso further down the line, hopefully I can make the switch then when he'll still be a little bit cheaper. But at the moment, went with James. Chelsea pushed so far forward, maybe with a tinge of complacency based on their recent form, because they've got away with it so much this season, leaving the door wide open on the counter-attack for Sancho and United to deny me of 2 clean sheets. Rather frustratingly, because apart from that goal, United didn't really look like scoring all that much. And lastly, because half of my midfield didn't play this week, Livramento came off of my bench for me with 0 points. What's annoying about this is I never expected much from him against Liverpool, and that's why he was on my bench. And they got me so many points, I can't really complain about that. But I've never once, not once, this whole season got lucky with Livramento's points off of the bench. And the one time I get him off of the bench, he gets 0 points. I mean, that's just typical really, isn't it? In midfield, Salah and Jota turned up as mentioned before. Jota in particular was the jewel in the crown this week. 3 goals in 2 game weeks for him and for me since I got him in for Havertz. So very grateful to have made that switch when I did, and he's repaid my faith. Threefold now. 14 points was big for me this game week and hugely needed, as you can see. Mbeumo yet again couldn't deliver, and the Spurs game got called off because of snow, meaning I lost Son. And then Foden didn't even travel with the squad for City, meaning I was left 2 men short in midfield. What should have been a really great day on Sunday of potentially making a really good dent in my rank, unfortunately turned out to be a bit of a dud. The 2 missing midfielders meant that there was a switch up in formation for me, bringing Antonio in off of the bench. I knew it would be a tough fixture for him having City. I'll take the 2 points, but I'd rather have had my 2 midfielders play, if I'm honest. And well, I called on Tony last game week in my video to string a few goals together, and he delivered this week. Okay, it was a penalty, but you still have to tuck them away, and he did so cleanly and confidently, bagging all 3 bonus points for 9 points towards my team total. Very much appreciated. So with all of that, I got 60 points on the nose. There's my target. Absolutely happy with that. A decent green arrow that sees me sitting at around 187,914. Great to finally sneak into the top 200k. Seeing 100k has been a while, if I'm honest, and I'm praying I can build from here. My 3 top scorers this week were Jingle Bells Jota with his brace for 14 points. Snow Ho Ho Salah as my captain with 12 points, and it's between Trent and Tony, but I'll give it to Tinsel Tony this week just for his returns 2 weeks in a row now with 9 points this game week. Okay, so moving on to Game Week 14 and 15. This is how I'm currently lining up for Game Week 14. As I wasn't afforded the luxury of rolling a transfer last game week with the Chilwell injury, it is again my priority to bank a transfer because even if I don't use them, I really want to get some transfers in the bank and rolling for this busy festive period. I need some news on Foden. As far as I'm aware, it was just a knock, and I'm hoping maybe Pep just gave him a bit of an extra rest. So I'm hoping he's back for Game Week 14, but if not, I'll play Tony. However, if we do hear positive news on Foden, this gives me a little bit of a headache and means that my main decision is between playing Tony or Livramento in Game Week 14. My initial reaction was Livramento, but after Vardy scoring a brace in Game Week 13, I wonder if this may push his confidence on a little now. I mean that he could go on to score more goals, meaning it could make a tougher match for Southampton than it looked previously on paper. Could just be a little more tougher defensively for Livramento. That said, Spurs have also tightened up defensively, so with no knowledge of how they would have got on in Game Week 13, it's a bit tougher now to decide on whether to play Tony. Tony does have penalty duty, so that's a massive positive for him. So he may well win out over Livramento just for that fact. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You know I always love to hear from you guys on this one. Moving on to Game Week 15, and this is how I'm currently planning to line up. Now, there's plenty that could happen between now and then, so this could change completely. This is just a bust team at the moment. If all goes well this week, I'll have 2 free transfers, and depending on Kane's performance midweek, he may well become my priority for that Norwich match. I could get him in for a -4 if I manage to roll in Game Week 14, meaning I could get him in ahead of Game Week 15 based on a few variables. Those variables would be that Foden is still missing, either injured or rotated. If so, he could become a 4.5 midfielder. If Antonio is still looking a bit iffy against Brighton and not really looking like he's getting back amongst the goals, then he could become Kane, and I would need a little bit of extra money from somewhere. So lastly, it would all depend on how Watford are looking and how promising they still continue to look, meaning Tony could go to free up cash, moving to somebody like Dennis or King. Obviously, there's a very slight issue that Dennis could go off to the African Cup of Nations. He hasn't gone since 2019, I believe, so I think the manager that's there currently doesn't really get on with him. There's something about attitude issues or something like that. But they are looking for a new manager, so that may make Dennis more of an option to potentially go off to the African Cup of Nations. So there's a little bit up in the air there. However, I guess I'll see out Game Week 14, take a good look at Dennis, King and Kane and make my decision there whether or not it's worth losing Antonio and Tony for both of those. Now, obviously, another injury or rotation risk to another player in Game Week 14 could also present the option to get that extra cash from midfield or defence, leaving Tony where he is. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. As always, I will let you guys know what I'm doing or what I'm planning to do on my social media channels, which are all in the description below. Captaincy is still on Salah at the moment for the next 2 game weeks. Obviously, taking a good look at Sonny in Game Week 14 could make him a potential captaincy option in Game Week 15 against Norwich. However, Norwich did manage to keep a clean sheet against Wolves, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. With Salah, I'm just trying to get as much for my money before he goes off to the African Cup of Nations. So at the moment, honestly, I don't really see me moving away from him. It would take something quite special from Sonny in Game Week 14 to change my mind. And lastly, moving on to the trending transfers this week, using Fantasy Football Fixed data, I'll delve into the trending transfers ahead of Game Week 14 so that you can see who's likely to rise and drop in price, as well as gauging the bandwagons at the time of recording this. It may also give you an idea on who people are targeting for Game Week 15 too. So let's take a look at the players in and out ahead of Game Week 14 and 15. Of the goalkeepers, Ramsdale is still the trendiest goalkeeper in ahead of Game Week 14 with 41,000 plus purchases. Mendy is still the next trendiest in with 18 plus thousand buys. Martinez is the most transferred out goalkeeper with over 15,000 sales. Raya is still the next highest out due to injury, with 13 plus thousand managers getting rid of the Brentford man at the time of recording. Of the defenders, Chilwell is leading the way for sales out this week due to a long-term injury, with over 226,000 managers jumping off of the Chelsea man. Duffy is the second most transferred out because of missing out in Game Week 13, with 63 plus thousand sales. James is the trendiest defender in ahead of Game Week 14 and 15, with 148,000 plus purchases. Trent is the second most highest defender in with over 80,000 purchases. In midfield, Jota is the trendiest midfielder in after his brace in Game Week 13 with over 324 plus thousand buys. Gallagher is the next trendiest in with around 83,000 purchases. Foden is the trendiest midfielder out with 114 plus thousand FPL managers moving on the flagged City midfielder. Sarr, because of injury at the time of recording this, is the second most switched out midfielder this week with over 78 plus thousand sales. Up front, Ronaldo's become the trendiest forward out so far this week, with 78 plus thousand managers moving on the United forward due to recent form. Antonio is the second most transferred out forward with over 65,000 sales. Vardy is the trendiest forward in this week after his brace in Game Week 13 with over 90,000 buys. And Dennis of Watford is the trendiest forward bought ahead of Game Week 14 despite being flagged after his goal and assist with over 69,000 purchases. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope Game Week 14 and 15 are really good to you. Before you go, please check out the sponsors of this video, fantasyfootballfix.com. And yet again, if you'd like to help me reach 7k subs, please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell and all those fabulous things for more FPL videos. Until next time, Nymfria out.